Good afternoon, everybody. Recently, the Surface Pro 3 came out last Friday. Today is Friday, June 27th, so about a week ago on June 20th, the Surface Pro 3 was released. So I bought one at launch from my local Microsoft store, which I actually used to work at, actually, by the way. And, I picked one up. I got the 4GB, 128GB SSD model because I feel, I really don't do a lot of mobile computing these days, especially, given the fact that I'm out of school. So, an 8GB with, 256 is a little bit too much, so I decided to say $300 and, just pick up the one of the, not the lowest end model, but one of the lower end models. So, but to start with my Surface Pro history, I have had pretty much every single Surface with the exception of the Surface 2. I bought a Surface RT at launch about 1.5 years ago, and I gave up on that because I didn't really like Windows RT because, it just didn't, there weren't very many apps in the Windows Store at the time, and it was pretty much like a brick. You can surf the internet on it, but there wasn't but the software wasn't quite as good as it is now, fortunately. So then I got a Surface Pro, which I had for a couple of months, and it actually ended up supplanting the ThinkPad that I had while I was in college. But then, I left college, got a real job, and suddenly, I didn't really need to carry around a laptop or a computer quite as much anymore. So, and then, I got like a Surface Pro 2 just for kicks. And now I'm on pretty much my fourth Surface, the Surface Pro 3. Now I would like to really start off by the general build quality of this device. In general, it feels very solid in your hands. There's not a whole lot of give anywhere really. It doesn't feel like it's gonna snap in half in my hands right now. So, but there is like a small little niggle on in terms of like build quality of this device, and up here, it's the glass up here. Underneath this, there's like a small little hole where there's no glass, and that's where the microphone resides for the camera. And personally, there's this little bit of give up here. You can depress the glass a little bit, but overall, besides that little niggle, build quality is generally excellent with the Surface Pro 3. And let's see. So with the Surface Pro 3, Microsoft has decided to move to a 3:2 aspect ratio away from the 16:9 aspect ratio of the previous Surface Pros. And I find this to be a vast improvement. Not only is the screen much bigger, instead of 10.6 inches, it's now 12 inches, so it's a lot more friendly, less cramped to use when you're using it as a laptop instead of a tablet, when you're using, desktop applications instead of, the Metro apps. So, it looks like Spotify isn't working for me. I just had to restart. Okay. Sorry, I got a little bit distracted there. So I really do like the change from 16:9 to 13:2. 16:9 to 3:2, mostly because it becomes a lot more natural to use this in portrait mode. You can carry this. It feels more like, instead of like a super narrow, like you're holding like the Empire State Building in your hands or something like that. It feels a lot more natural to hold this in portrait mode than it did ever with previous Surfaces. Surface RT, Surface 2, all those included. And that makes it much better for reading stuff like reading manga through Manga Tree, which is a great app, by the way, if you're into manga at all, and have a Windows 8 tablet. And yeah, it feels like a lot more natural, like you're reading a freaking book. Whoops. Yeah. So yeah. By the way, that manga is Non Biyori, by the way, which is one of my most favorite animes of last year. So the move to a bigger screen and a 3:2 aspect ratio, very much welcome. And with another thing, Microsoft also mentioned that they improved the speakers by a lot. Now I can go ahead and play song very briefly. I got Spotify open here, so why don't I play something? And they are certainly louder. They are, but like the previous Surfaces, they still lack a little bit of bass. So let's try this one from Karen Ann. So pretty loud right here. Okay, so you guys get the idea. It gets pretty loud, but there's not a whole lot of bass. If you're using this in a pinch, it would definitely work. But if you're an audiophile, then definitely buy a pair of headphones. So that's the speakers, and also I forgot to mention, but the speaker's actually front-facing now. There's actually like two little grooves here where the speakers protrude out of. In the previous Surface Pros, the speakers were hidden like behind the kickstand or something. They still sounded pretty good, but front-firing speakers do definitely, you know, make things a lot more louder. So kudos to Microsoft for that, for improving the speakers a little bit. So we've discussed, you know, the speakers, the aspect ratio of the device, as well as you know, a little bit on build quality. So another thing I really want to talk about that some other reviewers on the internet have not really touched on is the camera. Now the camera is, and that's the beneath the floor of beneath the glass table I've got here, and the camera, there are two 5 megapixel cameras, one on the front, one on the back. And the nice thing is, if you notice, I do have the keyboard accessory with this, the Type Cover 3. And if you notice, when I fold the cover all the way back, it doesn't block the camera. That's pretty amazing, actually. That just shows how thoughtful Microsoft has been towards designing the Surface Pro 3. In previous Surface Pros, the camera would often be blocked. If you had like a cover and you folded it back, it would actually block the lens. And if you wanted to like take a picture, you had to drop the cover kind of like this, and and have the cover float freely beneath while you took the picture. Again, that is not there anymore. Microsoft has rectified this so that you can fold your cover back and take a picture, or shoot a video at the same time. Again, not a whole lot of people will be shooting videos or taking pictures on their tablets unless they had nothing else available, but that is still really nice of Microsoft to actually have thought about that and improved upon that in a way that I didn't really quite expect. Or maybe it's just a coincidence, maybe the Surface Pro 3, the new type cover didn't need to be as long or whatever. So I digress. In general, quality is pretty good. Oops. So here's like a video I shot earlier outside of my house. So I know it's kind of hard to tell, but camera quality isn't too bad. It's actually pretty solid. I mean, of course, there's no optical image stabilization or anything fancy like that, but it works. It works in a pinch. Now another big thing about the Surface Pro is the Surface Pro 3 is the pen. In previous Surface Pros, the pen was a Wacom pen. It didn't need any batteries or anything, but it was like this cheap little plastic thing, and it did the job pretty well. But with the Surface Pro 3, Microsoft has decided to move to a pen made by N-Trig. And unlike Wacom, N-Trig uses batteries. It uses one quadruple A battery right here. And there's also like some dime batteries back here to control the button for the... Unfortunately, I could never get this to work. The button up here is supposed to launch OneNote, but for some reason it's not working for me. Not that it really bothers me in any way, so I really don't care too much about that. But the biggest, I'm not an artist by any means, but the biggest, I would say, it works very similarly. It does the job. It does the job right. So like here, I'm just gonna, whoops. I've been trying to learn a little bit of Japanese, so I've been practicing a little bit hiragana here. I haven't gotten very far though. So compared with the Surface Pro 2 and the Wacom pen of the past, one of the things I really loved about the old Wacom pen is that it feels more natural when you're erasing things. With the old Wacom pen, you can flip around. There'll be like an eraser on the back, and you can just erase just like that without having to press any buttons or anything. With the new N-Trig pen, however, in order to erase anything, you have to hold down on one of these buttons, like the first button right here, which is by default the eraser button. And you have to hold down on this and then erase, which I find to be a little bit inconvenient and less natural, but it is one of the drawbacks of going towards using an N-Trig pen instead of a Wacom pen. There are other reviewers out there which have discussed the pen in greater detail, mostly because these people are artists or they do a lot more note-taking than I do, so that's really all I have to say about the Surface Pro pen. However, I will say this though, the pen feels nice. Unlike the cheap plasticky, Wacom pen of the past, which it had no heft. The Surface pen actually has heft. It actually feels like a real pen, and that really helps with regards to note-taking, or it just feels more secure, more natural. We all know how unnatural sometimes certain doing analog things in a digital manner can be. So kudos to that. The small little things like that, like making the pen heavier and more premium feeling, definitely a plus in my book. Now let's get back to the start screen. Whoops, I'm flipping away. So with regards to, let's take a look around the entire Pro. So let's take this. So with regards to the Surface Pro, so you have your volume rocker up here. Oops, gotta let that focus. Yeah, volume rocker, and then you've got your headphone jack, USB port, mini display port, USB port. So there aren't a whole lot of ports on this thing. And beneath the kickstand, there is a micro SD card slot, which I have not put anything into yet. One of the biggest changes going around back is the kickstand. The kickstand has actually really changed and has actually rectified one of the original complaints I had about the original Surface Pro. Is that the original Surface Pro had a kickstand only opened up to 26 degrees, kind of like 26 degrees right now. And in order to feel not like you're folding, you're bending over too much, just so that you can look at the screen on at a certain level, you have to I usually scrunch down so that so that my eyes meet the screen. But those days are over. You don't have to worry too if you're planning to thinking about moving from a Surface Pro or Surface Pro 2 to Surface Pro 3. You don't have to worry about that anymore, since you can adjust the kickstand in this really ingenious way that Microsoft calls this the frictionless kickstand. You can open it to whatever angle you want, and it will stay in place. And that's just brilliant. So you no longer have to hunch over just so that you can see something on the screen. All you just have to do is just bend the kickstand back, and find a level that you're comfortable with when you're sitting down to use it. So that is one very welcome improvement to the Surface Pro 3. So another thing I really want to talk about is the keyboard for the Surface Pro 3. And let me just get this out here right quick. So the new keyboard for the Surface Pro 3 feels very similar to the old Type Cover 2. There's just the amount of travel is pretty similar. The touchpad has changed though. There are buttons on the touchpad now, and this is and you can use gestures like that. Personally, I don't use the touchpad all that much. I feel like with the touch screen, you don't really need a touchpad per se, mostly because instead of fiddling with something like this, you can just touch the screen. But the keyboard is backlit, I believe. Hang on, FN. Oh well. Oh wait, I think I disabled. I think I made these F keys. Oh well. Don't worry about that. So the keys are about the same size as the old type cover, but everything about it is a little bit bigger. So there's like more palm rest, so there's like more room to rest your palms, and it actually covers the screen. Another nice thing, if you are using this on your lap, is Microsoft has made it so that you can click in the keyboard cover towards. There's like a row of magnets here beneath the glass, and you can just click this in so that it offers greater stability and ergonomics when you're typing. So that's pretty nice. I don't use my Surface Pro 3 on my lap too much, so it doesn't really matter to me all that much. So yeah, that's really the keyboard in a nutshell. The travel is about the same as the old type cover, and you know, it feels good. I feel as if the keys are much spongier than they were on the Surface Pro 2 Surface Pro 2's type cover, but that could just be me. Oh well. All right, so let's go back. So I've been talking for like over 16 minutes now, and a couple things I haven't covered yet are gaming, which I may cover in another video. There are people on Reddit and elsewhere talking about, you know, how much the Surface Pro 3 throttles when it comes to gaming, blah 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 blah. But overall first impressions of the Surface Pro 3 are, for me, very much positive. I've always loved what Microsoft has done with the Surface. I'm a firm believer in the fact that Surface, especially the Surface Pro, are pretty much the best computers that anyone has ever made, period. I believe that Microsoft has Microsoft has pretty much achieved its vision, especially with the Surface Pro 3, of creating one device for your entire life besides your smartphone. This, you know, with the bigger screen, it's actually a much nicer laptop, and with the move to the new aspect ratio, it's also a better tablet as well, since you can use it in either portrait or landscape. And you know, Microsoft has spared no expense to making this the best experience on Windows ever. You know, the form factor is great, the weight is great, the weight distribution is great, the way you hold it in your hands, the fact it's only less than 2.5 pounds. All those things make, in my opinion, the Surface Pro 3 to be the best computer ever made by anyone, period. And that includes, you know, Apple, Lenovo, all those guys. You know, nobody has come close to making anything like this, as you know, as thin, light, and portable as it is. And I hope Microsoft continues to iterate on this design, continues to improve, continues to do everything within its power to make this, quite frankly, the best. I mean, it's already there. I mean, there are a few things that Microsoft could do better, like, you know, like the cost of the keyboard, for example. I mean, you know, this keyboard accessory should be included with all Surface Pros. People shouldn't have to pay for it. I mean, since the keyboard is such an integral part of the experience, you know, making people pay another $130 on top of the $1,000 they're already spending is a bit of an insult. And of course, you know, again, I'll probably touch on this in a future video, but the fact that the Surface Pro 3 does throttle is the fact that, you know, Haswell chips were not really meant to be used in a you know, frame this thin. They were really meant for slightly thicker devices, and I believe that Broadwell may solve that problem, but we'll talk about that in another video. So overall, you know, should you buy a Surface Pro 3 or not? It really depends. It is a bit pricey. Starts at around $1,000, but if you're looking for that do-everything device that looks stylish and can be a tablet and can be a laptop, I think that you'll be well served. Most people would be well served by something like the Surface Pro 3. Alright, that's the end of this review. I will do another gaming related video pretty soon. So anyways, thank you for watching, and goodbye.